Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I'm Random Randy. Thanks for tuning into the channel. And this is going to be just a little side note on some research I'm doing on the Civil War. Something about the Civil War to me that never really made sense was the like veracity of the brother on brother, supposed kind of dynamic, Americans versus Americans, right? Really kind of and the way that it ties into the Revolutionary War, what happened there. We've got the story. We're told, Britain hated America, the French hated Britain, America and the French joined forces against Britain. But then there's like some really weird stuff that happens, or like some weird interplay of like characters in this story. All right, and this is one of them, guys. These were called the Zuhar, and they dress in a very like Berberish, getup, right? And it's super strange. There's so much weird stuff like surrounding them. They were like supposedly French. The Zouaves, sorry, not the Zuhar, the Zouaves. They were supposedly employed by Lincoln, right? And Lincoln is gosh, so we just have a weird like dynamic going on here. Um like supposedly, everyone was on everyone's side and it was just a split of Confederacy and Union. But there's such a different dynamic to all of this. There seems to be so much tomfoolery, going on with all of these battles, the way they're replayed to this day. So many different things about the Civil War, are kind of conflicting, uh, to say the least, right? And what led me into this, and here's a picture of what they're supposed to look like, these Zouaves, right? This is like the typical photograph version, but look at how different that is from this. And they're supposed to wear like fezzes. Why they were in the Civil War is like weird. They're from North Africa. So it just makes you wonder what's going on all around like the world, you know what I mean? Um Soon becoming the best drill team in the Midwest. So they were like stationed out here near where I'm at, like in Iowa or the Midwest somewhere. That's weird. So much weird stuff going on. It makes me wonder a lot about the French, the entity we discussed before called Napoleon, what was going on there. And like, so these Zouaves, super strange. Okay. And like, what happened? Why did the French join with the North instead of the South, if this is the case? Or was it like literally brother versus brother to where like even the South had these type of soldiers, fighting for them? There was definitely some disagreement, and furthermore, I know it's like off the cuff and strange, but like, were some brothers siding with these larger civilizations and were some siding against them? Was that the division? Was that what was being looked at as slavery? Like slavery of everybody, and then they just spun it to mean something else later. What really happened over here? Because, it seems to me that America has always been like a giant melting pot of people, but there's some weird stuff, guys, when it comes to the Civil War, right? And I don't know about you guys, but when I look at this dude, this Zohar, there's another, or sorry, Zolov. I'm botching this one up big time, but it's just a random thought anyway for everybody to kind of join him. But supposedly he's standing on a Confederate flag. And, I looked into it first. I was like, oh, well, that's not a Confederate flag. But then I looked a little further. I mean, just a little, you know, and found out that that could have indeed been the Confederate flag. So I'm like, okay, maybe he is standing on a Confederate flag. What's next? Started looking at some interesting stories, uh, like like this. Mark Twain joins the Marion Rangers. Like, wait a minute, what's going on? Where like the average like author at the time decides to take on something. Like, was it just his morals, his integrity that caused him to want to join this fight? Like, what really happened here? Is you just a placeholder? Are all these people just placeholders, and they all, the reason they happen to been general and, an amazing author is because like they simply were never a general, you know, that this war didn't happen the way that we're told it did. You go and look, and there's some interesting biblical names and stuff like his brother Absalom, I mean, some interesting symbolic stuff happens. Now, I went to look at I was starting into this based on the technology of the Civil War. That's what got me into looking at this. It was, machine guns and things like that, submarines, including monitors, ironclad ships, different, you know what I mean, different things, a lot of different things. And, it leads to the narrative, right? The Gutenberg.org, Civil War Centennial Handbook. You know what I mean? Like this came out 100 years later to give us the definitive answers, you know what I mean, for what happened in the Civil War. So we start looking through it, right? Most of us would like, oh, what's the story here? Start looking at your average soldiers, and sure, they look like we're pretty much told they do, but we don't get like any big like wide angle shots of what these ships really looked like with the crew on them and everything. We have a lot of paintings, but these are all clearly like staged, you know, like what really happened. Was this all just a big act? You know what I mean? Like, because like a battle, like I don't see how people would go into battle over and over again if it was like this. But that's just me, it's just an opinion. But everybody living in log cabins. Interesting stuff though, right? Look at the headdress and everything. And to me, this, I don't know, is this Confederate? No, they have dark shirts, so they're not, right? And so that's the tricky thing when we're looking at this stuff in black and white. It's so hard to tell who's who, what's what, you know. Taking a break, playing swordplay with around the fire with my boys. So, a lot of this stuff doesn't make sense, man. Um, but I don't know. I've never been in war. I don't understand the camaraderie that needs to happen in between battles and things, and I'm sure that it does in order for it to continue anyway, right? But like look at this, dude. In Nashville. Look at the building over here. Dude, what is going on here? And remember, guys, from the last video in Nashville, we have like the Parthenon and everything too. But like, what is this? You know what I mean? What's going on there? Crazy stuff, right? Like just all of it, brother against brother. We got the story. So on that note, on the story, I was like, well, I'm just curious, like started scrolling down and was reading, and this is the random thought. This is what's the reason for me putting this video up. I was like, okay, so the artillery fired 2307 rounds. Put that number into DuckDuckGo, and what do I get, guys? The map for Washington D.C. Like, are these things coincidences? You know, this is the only like actual coincidence I came up with, numerically. But sometimes it's fun to look at. It's weird, right? But like, we all know that Washington D.C. is playing all the cards now. Like, what if they were back then also, right? And what if this Confederacy isn't quite what we were told? Like, what if it was something different? What if the whole story is something different? So that's the thought, right? And I get further along, and it gets like a different kind of weird, where I'm like, all right, let's look at the next one. This one up. I put that in. And then I find out that back in the 1800s, the 1779, dude, people were numbered. And this isn't just during, the Holocaust, right? I'm on YouTube, guys. Give me a break. So, this isn't just about that. This is before then, 150 years before then. And these people are numbered, dude. I don't know anything about people being numbered way back then and their entire family lines being numbered. And this is in Russia, mind you. But what was going on in the 17 and 1800s? This kind of thing just brings me to like so many questions. Look at this. Tells everywhere they were born, German. Dude, they were making a habit of numbering people from long before the 1940s, guys. That's wild, isn't it? Look at this. 1779. Look at the birth of their kid, a different number. These are all in Ukraine. What's going on in Ukraine? Weird, right? All numbered. Why are they numbered? Is it because of, like that Artemis connection? And like I know this is a crazy sideline, insane rant that just is mind-boggling. What's going on here? Was this corporation that later became known? What is it? IG Farben, right? Who ran that whole camp scenario? Like, dude, was this going on before? Like 100 years prior? Is this what the fight was against in the Civil War that we lost? And then after the Civil War, guess what? America becomes a corporation, and we're all numbered. How long has this been going on? Is it the emperor just gets different clothes every now and again? And I hope you all don't mind my like verbal outburst of rant, but dude, this stuff is crazy. Start looking into history and what's going on, and it starts to look more and more like the outer fringes of society that are talking about like cloning and underground scenarios and mass corporations pulling all the strings. All of these things come together in our past. Absolutely mind-blowing, right? So, that's how it starts. It starts by looking into something as innocent as firearms. As innocent, right? And, you know, uh, ironclads, right? And we will have another video out on the ironclads and the submarines and the weird, technology from the Civil War, right? Because there's a lot of it. It's super strange. But what a weird place for this to go, this video, right? This direction. Hopefully, you guys all watch this and see what some interesting stuff that comes up when you allow yourself to go with the flow and find these things. I didn't know people were freaking numbered all the way 200 years back. And we can look through this directory, I'm sure, of genealogy. Let's just look at R for fun now that we're here, guys. All right. What R do you want? Romanov? R-O. Well, we don't have Rome in this one. We have Rothenhauser. Hmm, sure. Let's look at Rothenhauser. Wow, look at all those. Shlomo Rothberg, Rothschild. There we go. Ah, well, all right. Samuel Marks Rothschild, 1876 to 1922. What was his number? Do we have a number? And see, not everybody's numbered, guys. Look, 1876, Samuel Marks Rothschild, San Francisco, Oregon, Idaho. He died in Idaho, and he's buried here in Indiana. Boise, Ada. Oh, he went from Boise to Ada, Indiana, or something. Like, isn't this weird, guys? His wife was Falker, John Falker. Strange, right? Like, who'd have known I'd wind up on this site looking at all these Rothschilds? But it's not Roths, it's Roth. So it's like this, like the offshoot of the family, you know? And like how far like back does it go? 1715, 1728 was still the accents above the name. Crazy, right? The further back you go, the more European the name looks, or like, see what I'm saying, guys? Tomas because becomes Tamas. The Akira Falva. Sizerak? I don't know where that is. Do you guys know where that is? So we got to really think about where people are actually coming from and see how much moving around of people has happened. Like seriously, how much moving around of people, how much branching of families into different areas. Like, look at this dude. This dude was born in Hamburg, Germany in 1836 and like dies in Alameda, California. Like, so all of these people were moved around for like a specific reason. Okay. And it was like happening even through the Civil War. Like, I know this is going in a different direction than it started out, but I wanted you guys to join me in this rabbit hole here because it's weird, guys, right? Like Joseph, like who's this dude? Pongulok. But see, those names sound like let's say like Native American, like uh Pongulok, Pongulok, like different, right? Different language than we're speaking now. Um, Czech Republic. Okay. So like this is like old school Gypsy Romanian, what some would probably call Tartarian, guys. Isn't that wild? What was going on here, dude? Who were these people fighting with us? Like on our sides during these times? What the heck was going on? There's so much that we don't know. So much, guys. Like we just don't know. And these are just related to the Rothschilds. You know, Ohio, they're spread all over the United States, guys. Okay. Just practice dental hygiene like a normal person, right? So, it's crazy. Like Caroli, born in 1858, doesn't really say where. Birth. Oh, see, I don't have my membership, guys. But how cool. You can see though how many people were moved around, many different types of people. People were apparently numbered uh prior much way before World War II, it seems. Why were these people numbered like this? What was going on in this time period? What was happening, dude? Like these are the numbered folks. Like look at this: birth about 1779, migration 1789. Like look at all these little details. Moved to here in 1803, 1814 census. These are all the people that are like on paper, dude. And it's a lot of people back in this time. Let's go back to Peter's surname. How wild is that though? Not wild to anybody else? Super wild to me, dude. So, and you can do this apparently for your own family tree. So you could probably find out what movement of people, you came from and everything else. But it raises a question. What was going on in this time? Hopefully more people start digging into this and see this and can pull up more strange details. I love it. I love the interesting weird stuff. But this was just random thought. Can't very well call them random updates because that's already taken. So we'll go with random thought on this one. So thank you guys for tuning back in, and we'll see you on the next video.